So we're going to go over the factor label method. Let's just select. Okay, so this factor label method. Now this is going to seem like a math lesson, but before we get into our next major topic, which is the mole, we need to talk about factor label method first. So let's start that. Okay, so our factor label method. Now I'm going to draw something that is not going to make a ton of sense right now, but put into context after doing one example and then doing many examples with what's to come with moles and stoichiometry, you'll see that hopefully it'll come together nicely. Okay, so the general form of a factor label method, generally, its most basic, is going to be this. So it's the unit you need or are being asked for, and we'll do an example to tie this together, is equal to the unit you are given times what's called a conversion factor. Now this conversion factor will usually be a ratio or a fraction that connects these two units, the one you're given and the one that you need. If it's a ratio, convert that into a fraction. Now the fraction, I'll get to our example in just a bit, but the fraction will always consist again of these two units. Now they can be switched. One unit can go at the top, one can go at the bottom, or you can flip them. What you want to do is the unit that will go at the bottom of this conversion is going to be the unit to eliminate or to get rid of, and the unit at the top is a unit you want to keep. Now this unit, the one at the top, the unit you want to keep, is going to be related to the unit you need, right? It's going to be the same, and the unit you're given is going to be eliminated by the part of the conversion factor that is at the bottom, the denominator at the bottom, right? So this portion here is called your conversion factor. Okay, so a question. Let's say this is your question. Choose a different color here. Okay. How many miles are in 5 kilometers? Okay. The conversion factor is 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. That's our conversion factor. Now, this is an equation, or you can think of it as a ratio if we just put two little dots here, but you can convert this to, say, this. So 1 mile as a fraction, 1 mile for every or over 1.6 kilometers. Or you can say 1.6 kilometers is in every 1 mile. Both are essentially the same, but we're going to use them in different ways depending on the question. All right, so following your general form up in yellow, the unit you need, well, according to the question, we need miles. So the unit we need is miles. Okay, then next part is the unit that we're given. We're given kilometers, so let's write kilometers, but we have a value here, so let's write that down. We have 5 kilometers times a conversion factor. Okay, now the one at the bottom, the denominator at the bottom, that we want to have the unit that we want to get rid of. So we want to get rid of kilometers. So let's put that at the bottom. And we want to keep at the top, we want to keep miles. So of these two, either here or here, of these two, we're going to choose the conversion factor that matches the placement of these units. And that would be the first one, right here. So for every 1 mile, we have 1.6 kilometers. Now watch what happens. Solving this, we get kilometers over kilometers are gone, and we're left with the unit that we need, mile. So plugging this into a calculator, we see that 5 times 1 divided by 1.6, or just simply 5 divided by 1.6, we get 3.125, right? 3.125 is the answer then, that um, for every 5 kilometers, we get 3.125 miles. Now, this this question is actually pretty simple. You could have probably done this yourself, just with a calculator, or approximated it in your head. Um, but it's the concept here. It's the general form, and it's the use of units to determine an unknown value that's going to be important moving on as we begin to look at. So I can scroll down here, um, not too much. So as we begin to look at our next concept, right, without getting too much into it, the mole. Now, again, without getting into that, because we have a lesson on that coming up, but we're going to need to convert a value of something, and that can be it can be a mass in grams. We'll need to convert that to moles, which will represent with N, and there's a conversion factor thrown in the middle here called molar mass, and that has these units, grams per mole. There is, of course, a formula you can use, but let's not rely on simply our memory and plugging things in without thinking. If we can figure out how the fact label method works, it's going to help you solve much more complicated problems by simply using this great method.